So, as our journey aboard the Orpheus comes to a close, there is one or two last-minute things we want to get out of the way before we head on down to the engine room. The first of those being getting rid of all these astral pieces we've been collecting over the course of the game.
So, you've come again.
Yeah, so very long ago we ran into this mysterious medium who requested these astral pieces, and it's now finally time to give him exactly what he wants.
It must have been tough collecting this many. This will be enough. By the way, have you ever had any doubts about why I am so interested in collecting these things? I'll show you the answer to that question. This is the rock of all miracles. It has the power to grant you any wish. The greatest treasure of mankind. It is the devil's red stone. This stone belongs to you. We shall meet again when your fate with the other red stone comes to an end. When that time comes, we shall meet again.
So I can't really say that was the reward I was expecting, but well, there is a secondary reward you unlock for getting all 30 or 26 astral pieces, and that's all the way back in the casino. Yeah, I didn't really fully examine it before, but in the casino here, over in the corner, there is a jukebox. And originally it was not working, but once you collect all 26 astral pieces, you now have a jukebox that plays every piece of music in the game. And as I've mentioned before, I am quite a big fan of the music in the game, and there is quite a bit of it. But for now, I think it's time we finally stop dawdling and looking at the Easter eggs, and make our way all the way down to the crew quarters and down to the engine room. We don't really know what to expect at this point. We've been really building up to this final showdown with William Rockwell, and he turned out to be nothing more than a senile, broken old man. And it appears that, well, our father is now going to be our final nemesis, waiting down here in the engine room. First things first, we need to make sure that we use that key that we picked up off of William. And secondly, we really need to be on our toes for this entire engine room section because, well, it's a little bit different than what we've really experienced overall in the entire game. They give us a couple of things to get ready for the experience, such as a curing potion. And considering all those astral pieces we just turned in, well, needless to say, we're not really going to be hurting for healing items. Been doing a pretty good job of collecting all of those, but yeah, the second thing that they have to get us ready for this whole engine room experience is this pretty helpful map here. Yeah, we don't really need to pay attention to too much of the writing, but we need to pay attention to the location of the key and the valve and the 2 locks. Because the engine room, well, pretty much covers the entire length of the ship.
Richard, come over here.
So there's dear old Dad beckoning us forward. And for right now, our journey through the very, very cavernous engine room is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's pretty quiet down here. Some would say a little too quiet.
I finally understand now, Richard. I realized it the moment I killed William and got hold of the red stone. I had the strongest desire for this power all along. I will become one with this power. The blue stone, even it shall succumb to my powers in this darkness. There is no light here. Not even you or your blue stone will survive.
So our first course of action is to run away.
You mustn't leave this alone. Hurry. Bring light.
Our second course of action, as pointed out by the numerous bits of dialogue, is to get rid of this horrible darkness, but it is good to keep in mind that the ghost of William Rockwell is pretty promptly following us, and he will do so pretty tenaciously throughout the engine room until we manage to fix the lack of lighting down here. Now to do that, we are going to have to get the engines running, the pistons pumping, and well, the first thing we need for that is to find that valve, so hopefully you were managing to pay attention to that map, because well, finding the valve can be a pretty difficult affair whenever you're pretty much constantly hounded by William Rockwell's ghost. And even when you manage to know which room it's located in, well, there is so much bric-a-brac and crates and storage down here that it can still be kind of difficult to find, but nestled away behind these large crates here is the valve we're looking for. Still though, even though it may seem like we are rushing about, well, even that doesn't really stop William Rockwell from managing to catch up with us and lob his many fast-moving fireballs at us. Yeah, while William seems pretty much like every other hostile ghost we've faced, he is a lot more aggressive and a lot more prone to attack than any of the ghosts we've fought so far. But with that valve in hand, places where we use it are pretty close by. We need to get that pressure started for the pistons. need to be very perceptive down here because, well, you are pretty much cornered in a very small area with a very hostile ghost after you. The good thing is he doesn't have any kind of psychic telekinesis like the kingly ghost, or doesn't really grab you from far away like the little girl ghost. But with the pressure now on, we now have to have the key necessary to unlock the piston's power. And that too isn't right here, but well, once you come down here, you do manage to corner yourself pretty heavily. And if you've managed to store up some healing items, you can tank a few hits pretty well, but, well, if you are pretty low on healing items, this can be a pretty tough brick wall to get around. But with the piston key now in hand, we just need to make our way back to the red stone, and along that way, we're going to run across two locked up panels. Yeah, while it seems the pistons are indeed pumping away, I think that their power is only being stored up, and we need to make sure that that power doesn't overload and blow out the engines. Just need to hurriedly make our way over to the second and final panel. And just like that, light is finally bestowed upon us in this dark hole. But is that going to be enough for us to overcome the evil power of the red stone? Or are we going to have to take some drastic steps to overcome this ultimate evil power? And it does now appear that the barrier between us and the red stone is no more, but it still leaves in question exactly how we are going to destroy the red stone. And it doesn't appear that Henry is going to be of any help, and, well, I don't really have any other better idea than maybe using the blue stone on the red stone.
The power to change destiny. Gone. Forever. This place won't last long. Hurry. Run to the front of the ship.
And with the power of the redstone no more, this reality in the Orpheus is quickly breaking down. Thankfully, Henry did give us a clue as to where to go, but when he says the front of the ship, he means that room all the way to the far right. So, we are going to need to make haste to be able to reach that room before our time limit runs out. Now, the good thing is that while we were turning on the valves and unleashing all the pressure and, doing everything we needed to do down here, did give us a pretty clear idea of a clear circuit through the engine room, so Relatively speaking, this isn't really too difficult to make within the time limit. Though if, obviously, you are already having troubles navigating your way through this area, you might be in a little bit of trouble. Though I will say they are fairly generous with the time limit.
I've come, as I have promised. Come now, inside the sun.
But in addition to the jukebox, we do get this additional bit of dialogue with the medium who requests us to journey into the sun, which, well, for you keen-eyed viewers, you might have noticed, there is this odd sun icon on the wall here.
I told you that I would come, didn't I, Richard? Behold, you stand before the most omnipotent power man has ever witnessed. The power to shape your fate to your desire with your very own hands. Here, take it with you.
So while that does seem like a very, very bad thing to do, yeah, I'm definitely not going to be grabbing this horrible cursed knife. Let's just get out of here.
You don't need this? Strange. You are indeed a strange man. It is goodbye, then. I pray that you have a bright future ahead of you.
I'm sure we could manage to find our own way off of this ghost ship.
This ship's life is coming to an end. Come. This ship will disappear soon. You are not supposed to be here. Go home now. Everything is over.
while that is a pretty cheerful ending to the game, I do kind of have to wonder what exactly would happen if we did take that knife.
Behold, you stand before the most omnipotent power man has ever witnessed. The power to shape your fate to your desire with your very own hands. Here, take it with you. Richard, I wonder what you'll wish for. I can hardly wait.
This ship's life is coming to an end. Come. This ship will disappear soon. You are not supposed to be here. Go home now. Everything is over.
In the end, things play out mostly the way they did with the best ending, I guess is what the game calls it. But instead of just being transported all the way back into Richard's apartment with a lovely music box, instead, we find ourselves back in the burnt-out husk of our father's home, stripped of most of our inventory items and all the things we've collected over our journey on the Orpheus, except for one very important item that we still do have in our possession. And with that, the bloodlust of the Red Stone continues on with Richard. But in the end, you could also just completely ignore the medium and just reach the final room like your father instructed.
This ship will disappear soon. You are not supposed to be here. Go home now. Everything is over.
And yet again, things play out in a very similar fashion. It's just this time around, we are completely emptied out of our items. We don't have any kind of horrible cursed dagger in our possession, which we will then use to shank our poor police officer here, who's just doing his job. And in the end, I guess you could almost assume that maybe this was all a dream, and that, well, we never found a secret compartment behind a clock, or went on a magical haunted journey aboard a long-missing cruise liner. There's one slight problem, though. The red stone is definitely a dark, dark reality. But there is one final option that is given to the player, and that is just don't do anything. You can let the timer run out, and you can be swallowed up into the eternal dark void of time with the Orpheus, and, well, it's probably not the best option, but it's still an option nonetheless. In the end, though, it gives a pretty anticlimactic ending here, giving just some blurbs from the local paper about how Henry went missing, and so did his son Richard. And, well, I don't know, it's still not that terrible. I mean, the red stone is still out there, probably, but it's not going to be Richard's problem. And with that, that is all 4 endings of the game. Hopefully you did enjoy this journey through a very, very interesting piece of, well, From Software history. I honestly really enjoyed this story overall, just because it didn't give, I guess, just a straight normal story. There was murder and intrigue, and, well, in the end, the villain that you expected turned out to be not the villain you expected. Overall, I do kind of wish this game had gotten more attention when it came out, and maybe if it did, the sequel would have been properly translated, but I might end up doing it after this one. It all depends on what I feel like, I guess. But hopefully you did enjoy this journey, and hopefully you will join me next time for whatever it is I decide to do. See you then.